Today we're doing a simple beef stew. The stew we're actually making is more resembles chunky soup as it is thickened with tapioca starch. My grandfather showed me this recipe and I have used this technique and method of building soups, sauces, and stews my whole life. And I'm going to show you that today. So first we're going to start off with our meat. Inside round roast, which I picked it up because of the marbling on it. This meat had some hard tendons in it and some caps, so I just trimmed up my meat, and this is just showing you the scraps and how I processed it. And really, you can use any kind of meat you really want. The more expensive meat it is, the better chance that it will be more tender when you stew it. These are the vegetables I use for this: celery, onions, carrots, mushrooms, and turnip. I start almost every stew the exact same. I start with onions and I usually quarter dice them so that they fit on a spoon, and I also cut the celery the exact same way. For this stew, I do start it off with the onion and celery and sweat them out for the flavor. And then once these onions and celery are sweated a little bit, I will throw in the meat. The reasoning behind this is that I'm trying to build up flavors inside your stew so that it all cooks together and the flavors really marry together. Remembering this is all on medium-low temperature, so you're not going to really burn this, but you do have to still move it around. At this time, I did add a little bit of seasoning to the meat, and it was salt, black pepper, and cumin. And I feel cumin is one of the main ingredients that you want to add to beef always, because it does bring a nice rich beef flavor out. The next ingredient that we're adding to our stew to add a nice earthy flavor to it is the mushrooms. And I did quarter cut them, and I did use two kinds. I used button and creamin'. And they do bring a nice earthy rich taste to the stew and give it a little bit of volume and texture when eating it. And this is just a progress shot. And then we add our garlic. I just wedged my garlic because I don't mind having big chunks of garlic in. You can mince it or you can chop it up finer if you like. And then we're just continuing this on medium low, nice and slow. And this is just a progress shot. I added quarter cup of tomato sauce into it, and then I just nicely coat all the vegetables, all the beef with the tomato sauce to give them a little bit of coloring and a little bit of flavor. And then I added about 4 liters of homemade stock that I made. Now this stock is a combination between beef, chicken, and vegetable stock, where I just take my table scraps and beef bones and just boil them down. Once you add the stock, you're going to throw in 2 bay leaves just to add a little bit of heightened flavor in it. And then you're going to boil this on a nice rolling boil for about 1 hour. And this is just on medium-low heat. You know, we're not trying to boil it to death. And then we get our carrots ready. And I sliced my carrots. Roughly, you just want to keep them all the same size so that when they cook, they're evenly cooked. I don't add the carrots at the beginning anymore because I feel sometimes they either go too mushy or they just turn your soup or stock orange. Then I added the turnip, and then we mixed it in and we continued to cook it for another hour. You know the turnip's done when it turns like a bright yellow color like this. And we just continued to boil it slowly. At this moment, you can check if your turnip is soft or if your carrots are soft, and you could stop right here and that could be an excellent beef soup. But we're not doing beef soup, we're doing beef stew. So I did want to thicken it, so I picked tapioca starch because it's exactly the same as cornstarch and it doesn't leave that weird taste on your tongue when you eat it. This is just a slurry. I'm just trying to make sure that the tapioca starch is broken down in the liquid before you add it to the stew. Might be stirring the stew vigorously. You want to take out your bay leaves so you don't smash them into pieces because they are not pleasant to eat. You're going to add your slurry to your beef stew, and you will notice instantly that it will start to thicken. You're just going to keep this on a little bit of a boil for about 20 to half hour. You don't really need to watch this, you can just let it boil, but periodically stir it so that it does not burn on the bottom. Now once your stew is done, this is done and you can serve it. And the way I serve it is I usually scoop some out into a bowl, and then I put a dab of sour cream on the top. And that is my grandfather's beef stew. Enjoy. And this is me just serving it up in a clear bowl so you guys can see. All the vegetables are soft. You can try them with a fork, just poke through them. And I usually put a little dab of sour cream on top. Then when you mix it in, it gives it a nice creamy effect. And don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Notus Foods. We do post a lot more gluten-free and oil-free recipes. And feel free to message us on there. It is a lot easier for us to contact you. Thank you.